Testing one, two. All right. Hey there, everybody, and welcome back to Cool Beans Hot Stuff and another episode of Terrifying Tuesdays. Ooh. Today we get to talk about spooky shit. It's my favorite day. I love talking about spooky shit. I love scary things of all kinds, haunted houses, scary movies. Every time of year is a good time for scary movies. Every time of year is a good time for haunted housing. And every time of year is a good time for talking about spooky shit. So that's what we're going to do today. And today, what I have for you is the SCP Foundation, right? So this is one of my all-time favorite creepypastas. It started as a creepypasta. It evolved into something much, much more than that. But this is one of my all-time favorite pieces of, let's say, internet lore that exists, right? And chances are you probably heard about it, right? If you clicked on this video, it's because you probably know what the SCP Foundation is. You might have played the video games, or you know about Peanut, right? Everybody fucking loves Peanut, man. Peanut's the boy. He's our man. And so you probably know what it is. Now, if you've never played the video games, we're going to talk about that today. I'm going to show you where all the video games that they've made about it. I'm also going to show you some really cool YouTube channels that have made all kinds of short movies about the SCP Foundation. And of course, I'm going to show you Peanut. We're going to go over Peanut. So if you don't know what Peanut is, you're going to know. And I'm not talking about the crunchy little snacks, although I am a huge fan of those too. No. We're talking about our boy Peanut. So we'll be talking about that. And we're going to go over the history. We're going to go over a bunch of the characters that are involved in this. We're going to go over, well, obviously what it is and what they do, and then some of our favorite SCPs, right? So that's what we're doing today. If you are watching this live, thank you for tuning in. As always, whether you're on Twitch or X or whatever, if you enjoy the content, then consider liking, following, whatever it is that you do on whatever particular platform it is you're watching me on. If you're watching this on YouTube and you enjoy the video, then please leave a like and subscribe. That always helps the channel. And more importantly, somewhere down the line, because I love me some SCP, man, I could talk about the SCP Foundation all day long, all day or day. So somewhere down the line, I'm going to do a video on the scariest, coolest, fan favorite SCPs, right? So if you're a fan of SCPs, you know about all this. None of this shit is new to you, right? Well, bully for you, good for you. Then yeah, hit me up in the comments section. Say, hey, Tony, do a fucking talk about this SCP when you do your next SCP stream, because there will be a lot of them. So hit me up in the comments. Let me know what SCP you would like me to cover, and chances are we'll probably be covering it since nobody leaves me comments anyway. So, all right, let's go ahead and jump into it. So what is the SCP? Well, in order to describe that to you, I know somebody who's even more entertaining than myself. I know, crazy, right? Hard to imagine. Probably not as handsome as me, but more entertaining. That is the infographic show. Here, let's pop over the YouTube screen. So the infographic show is one of my favorite YouTube channels. This is such a good YouTube channel. The animation is like top notch. It's funny. Always got a good vibe over here. I'm subscribed. Let's give them a like. Big channel though, really big channel, huge one on YouTube, and they do a bunch of SCP videos too. They're SCP Foundation fans as well. So we're going to watch their video on the SCP Foundation. They got tons of videos. We're not going to watch all their SCP videos because I don't have time for that. You'll just have to watch this one and then check out the rest on their channel. I'll leave the link to their channel and this video in the description so you can go check out. See, here we go, over here. These SCPs could end the world. It's another video by Infographic Show. And another one, this is the most scary SCP. I'm sure if we keep going down, we're going to get a whole bunch of them. We got some SCP Explained videos that are going to pop up here in a minute. So, yeah, if you enjoy SCP stuff, then certainly go check out this channel. I'll leave a link in the description to the YouTube video so you can do that. But in the meantime, let's go ahead and watch this video together and learn what the SCP Foundation really is. We got our captions on. Okay, check it out.
In an undisclosed location, a woman is being tortured. The methods of her abuse are too horrific to be described, and her torturers are death row prison inmates, the absolute worst of the worst. This woman's torture is constant, and procedures are put into place to make sure she never becomes accustomed to the pain. If ever her torturers express sympathy toward their victim, their superiors will have them removed and replaced. If they try to rescue her or put her out of her misery, they themselves will be shot without hesitation.
Jesus, that's intense, right? That went 0 to 100, didn't it? Goddamn. I don't know. Could you do that? Could you go torturing some random ass woman, right, to protect the population of the world? I don't think I could. They would have to remove me instantly from the room. I wouldn't be able to do it unless she was a massive bitch. Like if I walked in there and she started laughing at my ugly face or something, then I'd be like, oh yeah, let's torture this hoe.
The woman being tortured is known only as SCP-231-7, and worst of all, she's pregnant. The cause of her eternal torture? The SCP Foundation. And you'll be shocked to learn that when all is said and done, these are the good guys. Because if they ever stop their brutal treatment of SCP-231-7, a treatment codenamed Procedure 110 Montauk, she'll give birth to a creature that will destroy the world as we know it. This is just one of the many examples of the objects and entities under the watchful eyes of the SCP Foundation, a mysterious group that strives to achieve greater good by any means necessary, and we do mean any. What you're about to hear is
That's always a bit of a paradox, right? Strives to achieve good by any means necessary. Almost always the second half of that statement ends up leading to the exact opposite of doing good. But
above classified, and be warned, what is heard can never be unheard, unless of course the Foundation gets its hands on you. So what is the SCP Foundation? In the most basic sense, the group's mission statement is right there in the SCP acronym. Secure, contain, protect. It's the task of the Foundation to, in their own words, contain anomalous objects, entities, and phenomena. Things that don't make sense, things that don't belong, things that simply don't fit in with our perception of
smoothly.
Gotta get an ad in there. Wouldn't be YouTube without 15 ads on every video. Yeah.
So
give us a minute. This is a long one.
Time celebrating wins. Try it for free
Asana.
at asana.com.
Well, Asana, go fuck
reality
yourself.
And some things that pose an existential threat to all human life. They refer to these contained anomalies as SCPs, each of which is accompanied by a number. This is a broad umbrella, as an SCP can range from benign or even actively helpful to downright apocalyptic if ever released. Much like the infamous Men in Black often reported by witnesses in connection with alien sightings, the Foundation works in secret to maintain a sense of normalcy at all costs, knowing the chaos it would cause if any of the anomalies they're harboring ever become public. Take for example SCP-500. To the untrained eye, the object is just an unassuming prescription pill bottle, the kind you'd see in medicine cabinets the world over. But the pills in this humble bottle are unlike any earthly medicine. They can cure quite literally anything, from cancer to a cold within 2 hours. But at the time of this writing, there are only 47 pills left. The power to cure all disease, a privilege denied to even the richest and most powerful in society. A veritable holy grail. Can you imagine the violence and horror that would break out in trying to obtain them if their existence ever became public? The SCP Foundation works in secret because the collective mind of society just couldn't handle the knowledge of what they're dealing with. They work with the approval of all world governments, effectively placing them above.
I like the way this man animates beards. It's just an orange bottom of his face.
Of international law. Essentially, there is no human authority above the Foundation, because without the Foundation's work, there would be no humans left to govern. To understand the basic operations of this above top-secret organization, we need to delve a little further into that secure, contain, protect slogan. Secure refers to the Foundation's practice of constant global surveillance and observation in order to detect and intercept anomalous activity before it can interact with civilians or rival groups. Contain involves preventing the effects or influence of the anomaly from spreading by either, in their own words, relocating, concealing, or dismantling such anomalies, or by suppressing or preventing public dissemination of knowledge thereof. The latter can involve practices such as using advanced chemical compounds or technologies to delete and then rewrite the memories of infected civilians, or even committing mass murder if necessary to cover their tracks. The SCP Foundation has in the past wiped out entire towns of innocent civilians to prevent dangerous information about the SCP spreading beyond their control. They can take lives at their own discretion and consider almost any crime to be permissible when the alternative is Armageddon. And
Right. See, So there's a big catch 22 there with these guys, right? They protect you from some things, a lot of things that are pretty fucking spooky and not cool, you know, but which we haven't gone over any of those yet. But in order to do so, they'll also kill your ass, right? So it's it's a weigh your options there. They're not good. A lot of the SCPs, if you haven't noticed, a lot of the SCPs are people. Some of them are just inanimate objects like the pills they talked about earlier. We're going to go over a whole bunch of them, and we're going to go over how this thing came to be as well. Yeah. So, but a lot of these SCPs aren't super bad guys neither, which kind of makes some of their methods pretty questionable.
Finally, protect pertains to all operations meant to protect mankind from the SCPs, up to and including neutralizing and destroying them when possible. Some SCPs, such as the infamous SCP-682, a nigh indestructible genocidal reptilian, have proved to be almost impossible to destroy. Research is ongoing in many cases, as the Foundation explores any and all possible methods of reducing the threat of more dangerous SCPs. In order to help them categorize the thousands of strange and horrifying anomalies under their watch, the Foundation has created a system that organizes the SCPs based on the difficulty of containing them. The first of the primary object classes is safe.
So, we're going to hop into this somewhere else, although this is a good video and we might be returning back to it. We're going to go to the actual SCP site itself. So, there is a website for the SCP Foundation, and funny story, when I first heard about the SCP Foundation, I wasn't sure if it was real or fake or not. Spoiler alert, it's fake as fuck, all right? But when I first heard about it, I didn't hear about all these, like, crazy anomalies and shit. I just heard, well, I didn't know what an anomaly was. Like, I know what an anomaly is, okay? I'm not that stupid. But I didn't know that they meant giant genocidal reptilian lizards, right? I wasn't expecting that. And so when I went to the SCP Foundation website, this was way back in the day, at least 10 years ago. The website, when it first popped up, you would type it in, and all it would be was, it looked like a giant lock that took a 4-digit code that you had to type into it in order to get to the website. So I did some sleuthing around the internet and couldn't find anything about this code. So I went back and I was like, well, like, what's the worst that can happen, right? Like, I'm just going to fucking type in a random thing. So I just typed in 00000 and it unlocked. And I was like, well, that was stupid. That was dumb. So you just typed in 4 zeros and the website unlocked and he got into it. A while later, I was telling, I think one of my little brothers about this. And I was like, yeah, you got to go to this website. It's really cool, really fun, interesting shit. And how they have it set up is so cool. And so he says, cool. So anyways, that night I'm hanging out and it just clicked randomly in my head. I was like, oh, I forgot to give him the code to unlock it. I bet he'll figure it out though, whatever. So I texted him. I was like, hey, did you ever go to that website? And he said, yeah, man, I checked it out. It was pretty sweet. I was like, so you figured out the code? And he was like, yeah, man, I got it. He was like, it was kind of crazy. And I said, why? And he said, well, I just typed in my birthday and it unlocked. And I was like, what, your birthday? So I went back to the website and I typed in my birthday and lo and behold, it opened up. And so I was like, oh shit, like it's just a random ass number. Hey, what's going on, man? How are you doing tonight? FA 190322121. That's quite a name. I'm doing good. I'm out here in Tennessee. That's where I'm at. What about you? How are you doing tonight? And where are you from? And you like the SCP Foundation. Obviously, you must have clicked on the stream, so you must enjoy this kind of stuff. But yeah, Turkey. Oh, okay, cool, nice. Wow, man, awesome. So you know anything about the SCP Foundation? Yeah, sure. Go ahead and hit it up. What's your question? Happy to take questions all the time, man. Yeah. Well, let's see. I mean, well, you're kind of asking the wrong person. interesting. Okay, here, let me pop this over. If you don't mind me throwing your question on the main screen. If you do, then I'll take it off, if you don't want people to see it, I'll take it off the screen. But so, is LGBT against Christianity? And I don't know I don't know much about Christianity, but when I looked it up, I saw in many places that it's considered wrong. However, there are a lot of people who support LGBT. Okay, so I'm not a particularly religious person, right? And I'm not a Christian either. So I couldn't tell you from a Christian's perspective. You would want to ask one of them because they would be able to tell you more about their religion. I do have Christians in my family, and they're awesome people, and I love them very, very much. And they have differing views on it. Okay. Some of them think, yes, it's considered wrong and it is against God, LGBT, and T. And some of them say no, that it says that in an old version. I know it says that in the Old Testament. I know in the Old Testament, it compares specifically homosexual men to, what is it, to sodomites, okay, in the Old Testament. I don't know if it does in the King James version of the Bible. It might not. I have no idea. So, but in that version of the Bible, it does say that homosexual men is against Christianity. So that's all I know about LGBT in reference to Christianity, right? I'm not a Christian, so I would definitely save that question for somebody who is Christian. They would be able to give you a better answer. And like I said, I've asked Christians in my family about this, and some of them say yeah, and some of them say no. Okay. Also, well, as someone living in another country, why do some people in the U.S. consider the LGBT flag more important than the U.S. flag? Also, in some schools, the U.S. flag is missing while the LGBT flag is present. And this seems very silly to me. Okay, well, so, again, I do not consider the LGBT flag to be more important than the country's flag. I'm not one of those people, but some people do. Yes, you're absolutely right. Some people do. I would again ask those people why they feel that way. I myself have never asked any of them, and I do have friends that are LGBT, by the way. I have very important people in my life that are part of the LGBT community, and they do not consider the LGBT flag to be more important than the American flag, which is interesting. Okay, so there's a lot of people in America who are in the LGBT community, and they don't consider the LGBT flag to be more important than the American flag. Now, you are correct. There is some people in America who do consider it to be more important, and I don't understand what their thinking is. I'm not sure why. I would imagine if I had to guess, and it's a guess, okay, that's the best I can give you is an uneducated guess, right? So that's what I can give to you. If I had to guess, I would say it's because they feel that the LGBT flag represents them more than the American flag. And so I guess maybe that would be their answer. I personally feel like that's unfortunate. I wish they didn't feel that way. I'm not sure why they would feel that way. They would probably have their own individual reasons that would change person to person, though. And some of them probably do have, legitimate reasons maybe for feeling that way. And some of them probably have silly reasons for feeling that way, if we're being honest, because they're different people. Some people might give you a reason that says, okay, well, I mean, that's unfortunate still. That sucks. I do wish everybody in the U.S. felt like the U.S. flag was important, for sure, because I'm happy to be in the U.S. As I imagine you're happy, you're proud to be in Turkey, right? You should be. I hope you are. I don't know a lot about Turkey, but I imagine it's a fucking awesome place. I have never seen anything to assume the opposite, I suppose. I don't know a lot about it. But if you're proud of, I am proud of the place that I live, and I'm proud that I'm in my country. And I like it when I see other people from other countries who are proud of their countries. I think that's really, really cool. And so I wish everybody was proud of it, but some people aren't. And those people that aren't, they're all going to have different reasons for why that might be, and you would have to ask them individually. And I imagine some of them do have good reasons and some of them don't have good reasons, silly reasons, right? Now, as far as it in schools, that seems, now I don't know how common that is, so I couldn't give you like a number, a quantifiable way to measure how often that is happening. It is happening, though. It has happened in some places. We have seen it. I do distinctly, and this might be what you're talking about. I do remember a TikTok that was making rounds where a teacher was laughing about how she removed the American flag, and then she had the children, what's the pledging allegiance to the LGBTQ flag. That might be what you're talking about. And yeah, so that teacher was downright silly. Absolutely. That specific instance, which there's been a few of them in there, and that specific instance though was absolutely silly. No, I completely thought that person was wackadoodle. That's not cool at all to take down the country flag, then put up LGBTQ flag, and then have people, pledging allegiance to it instead, So it is a thing, and it is silly. It is silly to replace our country's flag. Absolutely. Oh, yeah, you're very much welcome, man. Absolutely. Yeah, I mean, any questions you have like that about America, I'm not going to be the most, what's the word, educated source on these kinds of things, but it's always good to ask questions. There's never harm in asking any questions, man. So always feel free to jump into my stream and ask questions, and I'll answer them to the best of my ability. I don't particularly, some things I'm not going to know about, I'm not going to know a lot about, but if I know something about it, I'll definitely say something, and I might be wrong. That happens a lot. We're all wrong, right? But at some point, but I appreciate that, man. And I wish you much success in your life too, man. I hope everything's going really good for you in Turkey. I appreciate you hopping into the stream to ask some questions and have a conversation. And if you ever want to hop back, man, please do. You're always welcome to come in here and have discussions, man. I'm always happy to do that. So, yeah. Oh, here we go. Okay. Here, let's pop you back up, man. I see that some decisions in the U.S. are currently being made by Jewish people. Do you have any thoughts about this? Well, it depends on what the decisions are that are being made. If they're fucked up decisions and they're bad for the United States, then yeah, my opinion is I don't like it, and they need to stop making decisions, and we need to remove them from making any decisions that aren't good for the people who live here. 100%. If it doesn't help the American people, then I don't want it. And that specifically doesn't really have anything to do with Jewish people, because again, I know some Jewish people that are really cool, and they're not making any big decisions for the United States. They just live their lives, do their thing, and they don't mess with nobody. And, they're good people. So when it comes to that, I have absolutely no problem with that, at all. And I don't even have a problem with Jewish people being in the government or anything like that, right? As long as they're making decisions that are good for the U.S. population. If they're not, then get them the fuck out of office and get them out of a position of power where they continue to make decisions that aren't good for the American people. So that's, I guess, how I feel about it. So it's not so much to do with them being Jewish and more to do with if they're making good decisions. If they're making shitty decisions that are bad for me and the rest of the country, then I'm not cool with them. And I don't care if they're Christian, Jewish, I don't care if they're Muslim, I don't care if they're white or black or gay or straight. If they're not good for the people of my country, then they need to get their asses out of positions of power where they can make decisions that affect me and my family and the people I care about, you know? So that's, I guess, how I feel on that. And, ah, could you possibly be talking about like the Epstein list that happened today? Because I know that was big in the news, and a lot of people feel like, well, I guess the theory, which I don't know if it's true. I couldn't tell you if it's true or not because I just don't know, man. You know, if I did know, I would tell you. But it sounds like a lot. The theory is that it was Israel that has told the U.S. president he can't release the Epstein files. I've heard that. And I don't know how true it is. If it's true, then I don't like that at all. You know, if that's true, then that's not cool at all. And I have definitely heard, though, the theory that there is, what's the word, powers that be that demand the president act a specific way. I've heard, you know, the WEF, I've heard the Illuminati, I have heard Jewish people, I have heard Israel specifically, and things like that, right? And I just don't know if it's true or not. I just don't have that information. If it is true, I don't care what group of people it is. If there's a group of people demanding that the president do specific things for them and not us, then I don't like that at all. And I think it's really fucked up and not okay whatsoever. Doesn't matter what group of people that is. I don't give a shit if it's like the fucking baby seals, okay? I don't care if it's like the cutest fucking batch of puppies you've ever seen, bro. If they're giving the president orders and orders that directly interfere with American sovereignty, then it's a problem for sure, 100%. You're very welcome, though, man. I appreciate all the questions, man. I appreciate you hopping in here and wanting to ask, man. You know, you're always welcome to hop on stream and ask me questions, and I'll always be happy to answer them to the best of my ability. I might not be able to give you a good answer, you know, because I'm just not, you know, there's a lot about the world that I don't know, man. That's just the way it is, you know. I can't claim to be a smart motherfucker, you know. I wish I was that smart, but I ain't, you know. Most of the stream is just me learning about new stuff, you know, anyways. And most days I'm just having fun researching random stuff too, like the SCP Foundation, stuff like that, you know. But always happy to answer questions to the best of my ability, you know. And always happy too to hear about your experience in Turkey too, by the way, man. I always love, you know, that it's not a one-way conversation in any way, man. I'd love to hear what it's like to live in Turkey. I've never been to Turkey and I don't know a lot about your country, you know, and always open to learning new things, especially about countries that I don't know a lot about, you know. It just same as you know. Do you guys have the LGBTQ in Turkey? And, you know, do you guys have a big Jewish population in Turkey? Are those two big things in Turkey? Hit me up, let me know. I would be very interested to hear, you know. So, but yeah, man. Anyways, I'll keep an eye on the chat. I don't keep the chat open uh on my screen, as you can see, but I got it right here. So I'll always be able to see when you're asking new questions. So always feel free to hit me up. All right, man. And that's for anybody who's watching the show. If you're watching it live or you're on YouTube, always hit me up on Twitch, you know, or X. And always happy to have a conversation, man. That's always fun stuff. Okay, so anyways, while we're waiting for FA to answer, give us some information about Turkey, let's talk about the SCP Foundation, all right? So, yeah, old website for the SCP Foundation was really fun, interesting. It had the little code that you had to break, and then it turned out that it wasn't a code at all. I was way in over my head. I might have been stoned because that was 10 years ago when I smoked a lot of weed. And so I probably was smoking weed that day, and it totally fucked me up. Yeah. But now you just type it in and you go to the website. So it's considerably less fun, but still a lot of fun shit here. So let's read into the SCP Foundation. We got their mission statement right here. and a letter by the administrator of the SCP Foundation. Okay, let's check it out. So, mankind in its present state has been around for 250,000 years, yet only a small fraction of that has been of any significance. Almost burped in your face. So, what did we do for nearly 250,000 years? We huddled in caves and around small fires, fearful of the things that we didn't understand. It was more than explaining why the sun came up. It was the mystery of enormous birds with heads of men and rocks that came to life. Oh shit. So we called them gods and demons, begged them to spare us, and prayed for salvation. In time, their numbers dwindled and ours rose. The world began to make more sense when there were fewer things to fear. Yet the unexplained can never truly go away, as if the universe demands the absurd and impossible. I love that idea. Like the universe requires some crazy shit to exist. That's so cool. Mankind must not go back to hiding in fear. No one else will protect us, and we must stand up for ourselves. While the rest of mankind dwells in the light, we must stand in the darkness to fight it, contain it, and shield it from the eyes of the public, so that others may live in a sane and normal world. We secure, contain, and protect. The administrator. Ominous. I mean, not meant to be ominous, but it comes across as a little ominous. Maybe it's the tone of voice I'm using. Maybe I'm just ominous. Mission statement. Operating clandestine and worldwide, the Foundation acts beyond conventional jurisdiction with the task of containing anomalous objects, entities, and phenomena. We maintain an extensive database of information regarding anomalies requiring special containment procedures, commonly referred to as SCPs, special containment procedures, right? All of which undermine the natural laws that the people of the world implicitly trust in. We operate to maintain normalcy so that the worldwide civilian population can live and go with their daily lives without fear, mistrust, or doubt in their personal beliefs, and to maintain human independence from extraterrestrial, extra-dimensional, and other extra-normal influence. Our mission is threefold. Secure anomalies to prevent them from falling into the hands of civilian or rival agencies through extensive observation and surveillance. I think we went over this. Actually, the video went over this, right? So let's move on. So this cough. Woo. Crazy. Okay, so a little bit about us. The SCP Wiki is a collaborative speculative fiction website about the SCP Foundation, a secure organization that contains anomalous or supernatural items and entities away from the eyes of the public, or so it may appear. The Wiki is a collaborative effort made possible by the contributions of hundreds of authors. We'll get to that here in a second, but that's really cool. If you want to become a part of the SCP Wiki, you can apply to become a site member. You can also add to the conversation by commenting in the forums, IRC, or Discord. The SCP Wiki and its contents are released under the yada yada yada. Here's the site guidelines. So anyways, that's what the SCP is. Outside of what it is secure, contain, protect. It's a government agency that'll fuck your shit up if you act like a weirdo, so don't be a fucking weirdo, all right? What it actually is a collaborative effort by writers all over the world, man, that write cool stories about crazy anomalies and then send it into the SCP Foundation for review, and then their anomalies become a part of SCP history. And that is really fucking cool. That's really neat, right? I do have some things when we get a little bit later, we can talk about the history of the SCP, right? And I don't like to usually use Wikipedia for this, but it's just always a good solid source, you know. It's not, excuse me, I don't know why I said that. That's not a good solid source. That's why you don't usually use it. But for this particular topic, it just had the best write-up of the SCP history that I found, right? So we are going to go over to that for the history of how it got started. But before we do that, we know what it is. Now you know what it is, right? So you're up to date. You're up to speed. You still don't know about Peanut, but before we get into Peanut, let's talk about the object classes. That's what the infomercial or the infographics show was talking about when we paused it. So, object classes. All All anomalous objects, entities, and phenomena requiring special containment procedures are assigned an object class. An object class is a part of the standard SCP template and serves as a rough indicator of how difficult an object is to contain, like the video said, right? In universe, object classes are for the purpose of identifying containment needs, research priority, budgeting, and other consideration. An SCP's object class is determined by a number of factors, but the most important factors are the difficulty and the purpose of its containment. So the primary classes. Got a snot in my face. Safe. Safe class SCPs are anomalies that are easily and safely contained. This is often due to the fact that the Foundation has researched the SCP well enough that containment does not require significant resources, or that the anomalies require a specific and conscious activation or trigger. Classifying an SCP as safe, however, does not mean that handling or activating it does not pose a threat. For a complete list of safe class articles on the site, click Meow. Okay, I never knew how to pronounce this. Euclid. So we're going to go back to the infograph show before I make too much of an ass of myself and try to say a word that I can't pronounce. And we're gonna learn how to say this fucking word.
Pertaining to SCPs that require little, if any, resources to safely and properly contain. Examples include the previously mentioned SCP-500 pill bottle and SCP-999, a benevolent blob of gelatinous orange matter. SCP-999 has a playful, almost dog-like personality. It causes feelings of happiness and euphoria in whoever or whatever it touches. It's even been used by the Foundation as a pacification tool to reduce aggression in other SCPs. The second primary object class is Euclid, which refers to
Euclid. Okay. Thank you, infographic show. Saving my ass over here. Euclid. Okay. The Euclid class SCPs are anomalies that require more resources to contain completely, or where containment isn't always reliable. Usually this is because the SCP is insufficiently understood or inherently unpredictable. Euclid is the object class with the greatest scope, and it's usually a safe bet that an SCP will be in this class, they missed an N there, if it doesn't easily fall into any of the other standard object classes. As a note, any SCP that's autonomous or sapient is generally classified as Euclid, due to the inherent unpredictability of an object that can act or think on its own. For a complete list of Euclid class articles on the site, click Meow. And then there's Keter. I'm pretty sure it's Keter. Let's see what the infographic show says. I already forgot how to say Euclid. Is that what it was?
It's even been used by the Foundation as a pacification
tool
to reduce aggression in other SCPs.
Euclid.
The second primary object class is Euclid, which refers to any anomaly that requires more resources to contain completely, or where containment isn't always reliable. This is the broadest SCP class, and the majority of sentient, sapient, or autonomous anomalies fall into this category.
It was sapient. See, I knew what I was talking about.
As huge, sprawling, and bizarre as SCP-3008. This SCP appears to be a kind of anomalous pocket dimension hidden inside an IKEA superstore, which is not only significantly larger on the inside by approximately 10 kilometers, but also contains bizarre, faceless entities which can become hostile under the right conditions. A Euclid SCP can also be something as
That's a crazy one. Wow. That's a cool story. See, that's the kind of interesting shit you get when you take authors, storytellers from all over the world and ask them to create the craziest objects they can imagine. I created an SCP. I never did turn it in, but I've always wanted to. Like I need to edit the story, and then I'm seriously considering turning it in for consideration to see if they'll take it as an SCP, just so I can say I got a fucking SCP, and that would be super cool. But that's such a crazy one, right? A fucking IKEA store with faceless people in it that will get hostile with you. Pretty wild.
294, which appears to the untrained eye to be a standard coffee vending machine. However, unlike any other coffee machine, the input system on SCP-294 is a QWERTY keyboard. This SCP can manifest any liquid typed in on the keyboard, from standard drinks like coffee and beer to more esoteric compounds like sulfuric acid and disease-infected human blood. During extensive tests, one subject requested the perfect drink and was given an odorless lavender-colored liquid. After consuming the liquid, the subject went into a state of euphoric shock. The subject later committed suicide, leaving a note which read, "I'm sorry, but at this point, everything's just one big letdown."
Jesus,
Sadly,
wow, that's pretty
tests is
hardcore.
not uncommon.
Oh,
hello, Mark Barden here.
and of
from
course,
Saving Her Promise. On December 14th,
no.
2012, my
The SCP Foundation
talking about dead
essentially
kids,
has
that's a
limitless
no-go.
resources, including access to countless
we're here to talk about spooky shit that's fake, not real fucked up shit.
disposable workers and test subjects. The most common of these are so-called D-class personnel, which are death row inmates conscripted for the purposes of often lethal SCP experimentation or containment.
Oh, that's a bummer.
The next primary object class is Keter.
Keter. Okay, that's what I was looking for. Keter. Okay, so Keter class SCPs are anomalies that are exceedingly difficult to contain consistently or reliably, with containment procedures often being extensive and complex. The Foundation often can't contain these SCPs well due to not having a solid understanding of the anomaly or lacking the technology to properly contain or counter it. A Keter SCP does not mean the SCP is dangerous, just that it is simply very difficult or costly to contain. That's a very common misconception. They think people, and even SCP fans, maybe even you. I used to think this for a while. Safe meant it's safe, right? You could play with it. It's like that goopy little happy ball. You just fucking play with this goop and you feel good about yourself. Euclid was like, it could, it's normally kind of like chill, but if you piss it off, you step on its foot, it's gonna, pull its gat out and shoot you. And then Keter meant, oh, this motherfucker's always hostile. Right? This is like ex-girlfriend, right? Always pissed off, 24/7, right? So turns out it's not. Turns out that's it. It's only how difficult they are to contain. Safe means it's easy to contain. Euclid means it could be better. We could contain it a little better. Yeah. And then Keter means all bets are off. No holds barred. This motherfucker is probably getting out tomorrow and fucking your shit up. So, secondary classes. Okay. The following object classes are less frequently used and designate anomalies with unusual containment requirements. Thaumiel class SCPs are anomalies that the Foundation specifically uses to contain other SCPs. Even the mere existence of the Thaumiel class objects is classified at the highest levels of the Foundation, and their locations, functions, and current status are known to few Foundation personnel outside of the O5 Council. We're not going to talk about the O5 Council today, I don't think. Let's see if Infographs Show has anything to say regarding the Thaumiel class. They'll give us a Keter right here, though, so you can understand the Keter. And spoiler alert, it's not my ex-girlfriend.
Described by the Foundation as anomalies that are exceedingly difficult to contain consistently or reliably, with containment procedures often being extensive and complex. This can either be due to being an extremely volatile and dangerous anomaly or just one that seems to defy known laws of physics or reality, and is thus extremely difficult to understand or contain. The SCP Foundation has a vast number of secret facilities across the globe, and while the Keter-class SCPs are not nearly as common as the Euclid class, they consume a great deal more resources to safely contain. One particularly terrifying Keter-class SCP is SCP-354, colloquially known by the Foundation employees as the Blood Pond. This SCP is a large pool of non-biological red liquid discovered in North Canada that appears to be a kind of interdimensional primordial soup. What makes this SCP particularly hard to contain, as well as extremely frightening, is the fact that hostile entities periodically emerge from the pond and must be neutralized before they can escape the containment area. These entities have included a floating black sphere that can fire concentrated beams of deadly radiation,
oh,
a
shit.
15-foot-tall
Was not
reptilian
expecting
humanoid
that.
that seemed immune to gunfire, and a homicidal metallic humanoid nicknamed the Terminator.
There's my ex-girlfriend. Okay, that joke's tired. All right, I'm retiring it for next episode.
By Foundation personnel. The most highly classified primary object class of all is Thaumiel, which consists of SCPs used to contain other SCPs. This can range from SCP-7000-J, a book of Latin incantations bound in dinosaur skin that can summon various other entities, all the way to SCP-4006, which is the entire state of Massachusetts. Thaumiel class SCPs.
Okay, good place to make a note. The SCP Foundation, some of the people who write in SCPs do it with a sense of humor that is just fucking hilarious. You just can't beat it. Some of them are just too funny. Like the state of Massachusetts. I don't know what y'all did in Massachusetts to get that, but there it is.
The most bizarre and esoteric of the anomalies dealt with by the Foundation, but thankfully, they often pose less of an active threat than many of the Euclid or Keter class SCPs. Finally, as mentioned earlier, sometimes the SCP Foundation deems an anomaly too dangerous to contain and just needs to destroy it entirely.
Okay, it's not going to go over the other object classes. Thankfully, except for that word. I don't know. Well, we're going to try to say that word. But Apollyon. So the Apollyon class. Apollyon class SCPs are anomalies that cannot be contained, are expected to breach containment imminently, or some other similar scenario. Such anomalies are usually associated with world-ending threats or a K-class scenario of some kind, and require a massive effort from the Foundation to deal with. Archon class SCPs are anomalies that could theoretically be contained, but are best left uncontained for some reason. Interesting. Archon SCPs may be a part of consensus reality that is difficult to fully contain, or may have adverse effects if put into containment. These SCPs are not uncontainable. The defining feature of the class is that the Foundation chooses to not put the anomaly into containment. Interesting. Well, it might get some examples of that. I guess there's a complete list of them right here we can go to. Ticonderoga. Yeah, that sounds about right. Ticonderoga. Ticonderoga class SCPs cannot be contained, but also do not need to be contained. Okay, now we're just kind of like splitting random ass hairs here. While these anomalies are similar to Archon class in that their containment is unnecessary, Ticonderoga class SCPs are distinguished by also not... It's a burp. Hold on. Okay, so that passed. That was either a burp or a heart attack, so I was just tossing it up in the air. I didn't know which one it was going to be. SCPs are distinguished by also not being containable, given the Foundation's current knowledge and resources. This may be due to their widespread ambiguous... Whew. Okay, that was definitely a cough. This may be due to their widespread or ubiquitous occurrence on Earth, despite the general public remaining unaware of their existence or anomalous nature. Although the Ticonderoga class also includes extraterrestrial anomalies beyond the current reach of the Foundation. Okay, so non-standard object classes. This is when something's been explained. They call it explained. When it's been neutralized, it's been neutralized. When it's decommissioned, meaning intentionally destroyed. Decommissioned SCPs are anomalies that have been intentionally destroyed or stripped of their anomalous properties by the Foundation. Pending, it's still up for review. Uncontained, that bitch is out and she's wild. Esoteric object classes, bunch of random ass shit. Okay, so there you have it. There's the object classes, which is important to note because it's always gonna, whenever you look up an SCP, it's gonna say SCP-135 Euclid. And it's like, okay, well, you probably need to know what Euclid means, right? So for all the y'all that don't know, now you know. Okay, so we're going to jump in to what is probably the most famous SCP. I already brought him up. I told you I was going to introduce you to a good friend of mine, Peanut, or SCP-173. So we're going to read about it, and then we got a couple cool videos to watch about said Peanut. So this is a Euclid class. Special containment procedures, item SCP, and for the record, this is how a lot of the SCP entries actually look. They give you the containment, the description of it. Sometimes the description will come with a really interesting story, sometimes not. You know, it depends on the writer. Generally, it seems like the SCP Foundation accepts a new SCP if it's interesting and hasn't been thought of before. If it's stupid and lame, then they're like, get the fuck out of here. But it doesn't necessarily have to have a story with it, okay? So, item SCP-173 is to be kept in a locked container at all times. When personnel must enter SCP-173's container, no fewer than 3 may enter at any time, and the door is to be relocked behind them. At all times, 2 persons must maintain direct eye contact with SCP-173 until all personnel have evacuated and relocked the container. Description of it. Moved to Site 19 in 1993, origin is as of yet unknown. It is constructed from concrete and rebar with traces of Krylon brand spray paint. SCP-173 is animate and extremely hostile. The object cannot move while within a direct line of sight. Line of sight must not be broken at any time with SCP-173. Personnel assigned to enter container are instructed to alert one another before blinking. Object is reported to attack by snapping the neck at the base of the skull. So you turn your head or you blink for a second, this fucker's going to snap your neck. Or by strangulation. In the event of an attack, personnel are to observe Class 4 hazardous object containment procedures. Personnel report sounds of scraping stone originating from within the container when no one is present inside. This is considered normal, and any change in this behavior should be reported to the acting HMCL supervisor on duty. The reddish-brown substance on the floor is a combination of feces and blood. Ew, yuck. Origin of this materials is unknown. The enclosure must be cleaned on a bi-weekly basis. So he's pooping and bleeding on the floor. Try to get you bitches in there. So let's learn a little bit about SCP-173, also dubbed the Sculpture, or affectionately Peanut. This, by the way, this channel, let's hop back over meow. This is the Rubber, and I'm not sure why they named the channel that. 2 million subscribers though, so big channel. Let's watch their video on SCP-173, and if it's good, we'll give them a like and subscribe. Oh, don't have subtitles. Bummer. Okay.
Any human being
they do have subtitles.
had ever heard. A sneeze, coming from 6 inches behind his head. For a second, John remembered an episode of Mythbusters he had seen before being arrested, before coming here, where they tested to see if someone could sneeze with his eyes open. And yep, he never saw the end. There was a sick, wet thud, a horrible ripping sound, and a scream that ended too quickly. John didn't even have a chance to turn around and look over. Hello everybody, I'm the Rubber. Today, we bring you a SCP Foundation Euclid class object, SCP-173. SCP-173 is animate and extremely hostile.
So, can you make a guess why they call him Peanut? Any guess? Any takers? It's because he looks like a peanut. Y'all took too long to answer. He looks like a peanut.
It moved to the SCP Foundation in 1993, but its origins are unknown to this day. SCP-173 is constructed from concrete and rebar with traces of Krylon brand spray paint. SCP-173 is completely still while in an organism's field of vision, only moving when it isn't being watched, even if the observer simply blinks or barely looks off the object. Just when the observer blinks, SCP-173 will make a grindstone sound and move forward a short distance quickly. Despite the fact that it is a statue, SCP-173 can move fast enough to travel several feet in the time it takes for the human eye to reopen after blinking. It can literally move faster than the blink of an eye. It will advance towards its target until it is in range, then snaps its victim's neck. Object is reported to attack by snapping the neck at the base of the skull, or by strangulation. SCP-173 is apparently strong enough to snap the neck of a fully grown man almost instantly, although exactly how it does this is unknown. However,
Yeah, that's
the creature
surprisingly
is
tough to
completely
do.
Immobile.
Sounds like a silly thing, right? Like, how would you know? How many necks have you snapped? Well, none, thank God. I'm not in the habit of snapping necks, but I do jujitsu. And there is things called neck cranks, which is pulling someone's chin over until, if they don't tap, then you end up snapping their neck. And it takes a lot of strength to snap a person's neck. It takes a lot of strength to pull somebody's head over to the point that you're breaking their neck. So little Peanut here, seems like a sweet guy, don't he? Really? But he's a buff dude. You don't want to piss him off. Or look away, or probably be around him at all, really.
For as long as it's in an organism's sight. Therefore, personnel assigned to enter container are instructed to alert one another before blinking. Personnel report sounds of scraping stone originating from within the container when no one is present inside. However, this is considered normal. The reddish-brown substance on the floor is a combination of feces and blood, but so far, the source of these materials is still unknown. And due to the increasing amount of reddish-brown material, its enclosure must be cleaned on a bi-weekly basis. Being constructed of concrete and rebar, SCP-173 is incredibly durable, able to hold itself in a fight against SCP-682. SCP-682 is a massive reptilian beast with almost unlimited regenerative powers that is widely considered the most adaptive and durable SCP the Foundation contains. If you want to know more about SCP-682, you can click on this video in the upper right corner. Back to 173. So the Foundation personnel arranged a battle with 682 in order to test the durability of 173. And from that day on, it inspires great fear in 682. Because SCP-173 is an extremely dangerous object, hence is to be kept in a locked container at all times. When personnel must enter SCP-173's container, no fewer than 3 may enter at any time, and the door is to be relocked behind them. At all times, 2 persons must maintain direct eye contact with SCP-173 until all personnel have vacated and relocked the container. And now, probably the scariest thing is that 173 seems to have started its reproduction. Here's one of the recordings of personnel's in 173's containment. "What are you looking at?" John Avery, presently known as D5933, shouted at the other D-Class personnel in the cell. "SCP-173, what are you looking at?" came the reply. This worried John, as he was staring intently at SCP-173, and the other D-Class personnel was standing behind John, facing the other direction. Then, John heard the worst sound any human being had ever heard, a sneeze, coming from 6 inches behind his head. For a second, John remembered an episode of Mythbusters he had seen before being arrested, before coming here, where they tested to see if someone
Remember, the D personnel, they're the prisoners, so they just threw their asses in there to see what happens.
Sneeze with his eyes open, and yep, he never saw the end. There was a sick, wet thud, a horrible ripping sound, and a scream that ended too quickly. John didn't even have a chance to turn around and look over. From SCP-173's Addendum 1, it was written that SCP-173 appeared to multiply, producing 2 identical copies. 2 D-Class personnel were killed. It is unknown how this process occurred. Each instance of SCP-173, now labeled SCP-173-1 and SCP-173-2, is to be moved to individual cells, each following original containment procedures. In Addendum 2, it was noted down that a second multiplication event occurred. SCP-173-1 through 4 are to be each contained as per original containment procedures.
Oh, damn. There's 4
Objects
peanuts.
reclassed as Keter. And in the Addendum 3, at least 61 copies of SCP-173 are as of now unaccounted for.
Holy shit.
It is unknown how they replicated so fast, or how they replicate at all. Video evidence of the containment breach shows multiple instances of SCP-173 working in unison across multiple cells to achieve the breach. Most of the instances still in captivity appear to have formed a rear guard, blocking Foundation agents from pursuing other instances. It is theorized that SCP-173 has a hive intelligence, where intelligence scales with number of nearby copies. SCP-173 has caused a breach of secrecy for the SCP Foundation. Estimates at this time are roughly 500,000 civilian deaths across North America in the last 48 hours due to SCP-173, and hundreds of thousands of sightings and pieces of video evidence. Major television news programs have obtained video of SCP-173 and are providing instructions for avoiding instant death. And following saturation nuclear bombing on number of SCP-173 instances has been reduced. I hope you enjoyed today's video. Have you ever heard or encountered any paranormal event? Let us know in the comment below. We will draw your story and share it with the world. Don't forget to click like, subscribe to this channel, and hit the bell.
Yeah, I like that channel. That's a good channel. Let's give them a like and subscribe. Okay, so that was the rubber introducing. Couldn't help that burp. Just came out. Whew. Just all kinds of fucking burpee. That's because you guys are watching me. That's how it always happens. When nobody's watching me, I don't burp at all. So, yeah, that's SCP-173. And the reason why that guy, Peanut, is so famous and where he got the nickname Peanut is because of the games. Anybody who's played the SCP... what's it called? We'll just get it, because I was going to go over this at the end of the stream, but let's talk about the video game for a second. I think it's SCP Containment Breach. I believe it's that. If I'm wrong, then correct me in the comments. SCP Containment Breach was a video game, PC game, I believe, where you were a SCP Foundation worker, D-Class, maybe something like that, and you had to run your ass through the containment facility and get out and escape with all of these SCPs that had gotten loose. And of course, Peanut is one of them. So Peanut also has a very interesting history as far as SCP is concerned, right? Here, right there, SCP-173, image removal. All right, so we're going to learn a little bit about that, because this, I actually didn't know anything about this. I'm just learning this with you, right? That's what the channel's for, me to learn new shit and you to learn with me. We learn together, stop being a bunch of idiots together. So this is Mr. Illustrated, another nice big channel over here. Haven't heard of them before, but they're going to tell us all about SCP-173 being removed from the SCP Wiki, which is kind of interesting because we were at the SCP Wiki. Oh, that was another page, already went out. And 173 is still there. Here we go. But there's none of those addendums that the Rubber was talking about. That sounds so weird to say, the Rubber, but whatever. So, anyways, let's go back and see why that is.
The day has finally come, and it is time for Peanut to be laid to rest. Everybody knows what SCP-173 looks like. Even people who aren't actual SCP fans, or maybe haven't even heard of SCP, have most probably seen the statue on various forums and on servers and in spooky YouTube videos. The image is symbolic almost in its association with SCP, almost as much as the logo. SCP-173 is the original and the oldest SCP, and the image has been part of that file since the start. Some of you may not know though that the image is not Creative Commons compliant, which is at odds with how the entire SCP universe works. The SCP Foundation uses a specific Creative Commons license. It allows anyone to post and use and interpret anything associated with the wiki as long as you attribute your work to the original source, you claim no sole ownership of the material, and you release your work under the very same terms, so people can take your work, do their thing, and then release it under the very same terms as before. Now the actual image of SCP-173 is...
That's what makes SCP so fucking cool is you got so many people who are writing and adding new shit to it, and other people can take your work and add to it, add addendums and all that good stuff. Also, it's really crazy watching this dude do the animation. I've never seen this before, and I'm surprised right there how much work was put into that. Kind of crazy. But okay, anyways, continue.
It's called Untitled 2004. It's actually an art piece made by a Japanese artist called Izumi Kato.
Oh, shit.
My apologies if I'm butchering that pronunciation, which I probably am. He's made lots of other artworks that, as you can see, relate to SCP-173's likeness. The artwork was posted on 4chan in association with SCP-173 without the artist's permission. Now, in the very early days...
Yeah, can't do that. That's, SCP writing falls under that common use law, but you can't use other people's art, and that most other art doesn't file under that, right? So that guy probably wants to make money off of his statue, and this isn't going to help. Might help, but he probably has a completely different meaning to what that statue is supposed to entail, right? It's a really freaky statue, but he probably, made it for a specific reason, and now it's associated with this, and it doesn't sound like he was happy.
Now, in the very early days, the wiki wasn't like it was today. Not everything was super strict in the licensing department, and so Izumi's work was used despite it not complying with the CC. Not to worry though, because Izumi very graciously allowed the wiki to use it, but with certain rules.
Oh, that's
The image was not to be used in any commercial way, meaning no one is legally allowed to sell any interpretation of Peanut's likeness, because Izumi holds the copyright to the image.
Sure,
there are also
that
some
makes
additional
sense.
rules that currently exist on the wiki. We fast forward to the modern day, and the wiki
Wait,
is now...
there was other rules that they had there. Yeah, let's go back. Here, creator information. The image used in the SCP-173 article is the art piece entitled 2004, yada yada. A note of caution, SCP-173 is a secondary use of the image, which was created by Izumi Kato. The concept of 173 does not have any relationship with the artist's original concept. The sculpture, its likeness, and the photograph have not been released under any Creative Commons license. Only the text of this article is released under Creative Commons. The sculpture and its likeness may not be used for commercial purposes under any circumstance. Izumi Kato has graciously chosen to allow the use of the image. by the SCP Foundation and its fan base for non-commercial purposes only, which is totally legit. He's saying, yo, you can't sell it because it's mine, which that's what artists do. They make art to sell. Yeah. 1. Do not contact or negotiate Uzumi Katsu about anything related to the SCP. 2. Do not negotiate commercial license of SCP-173 images. 3. Do not ask the SCP Wiki to handle the Entitled 2004 commercial license negotiations with Uzumi. And 4. Entitled 2004 images are not available commercially for use in connection with SCP-173. Okay, interesting. That all seems pretty legit, you know. He could be a much bigger asshole, you know, but it doesn't seem like he was. So hooray for Uzumi.
They exist on the wiki. We fast forward to the modern day, and the wiki is now very strict with their Creative Commons rules, especially now that we have slimy wankers like Andre Duxon filing false trademarks and blackmailing both the creators and the wiki. The wiki has to keep itself safe. Even just a few days ago, they changed the image for SCP-1370 because the original wasn't CC compliant.
Well, you gotta do that. Who is this wanker? Is that what he called him? A wanker?
Even just a few days ago, they changed both the creators and the wiki, blackmailing both slimy wankers like Andre Duxon. Slimy wanker. Like Andre Duxon. We might have to do a video on this fucking asshole, yeah? Filing false trademarks and blackmailing both the creators and the wiki. The wiki has to keep itself safe. Even just a few days ago, they changed the image for SCP-1370 because the original wasn't CC compliant. With all I have said in mind, the wiki has decided it is time for the removal of Untitled 2004, also known as Peanuts, from the wiki, for a few reasons. One being that it doesn't comply with the wiki's CC rules, and another being it harms the original artwork. Speaking as an artist, if a piece I made that had its own story and meaning was taken and used as something else, with a whole new story and meaning tied to it, and it blew up so much that people didn't even understand the original artwork, it undermines the purpose of and taints the original artwork.
Sure.
So for both legal and moral concerns, the discussion for the removal of Untitled 2004 is being held. Now, Yosi, a speaker for the wiki, has made it clear that Izumi is not forcing the wiki to do this. The wiki are doing
he sounds
it
like he's
themselves,
super dope.
due to the damage it has done to Izumi Kato and the necessity of making the entire website CC 3.0 compliant. Izumi has asked the wiki to not replace the image. The wiki is going to adhere to his request and not replace the image with a new one, but they have suggested they might create a gallery for people to share fan interpretations of SCP.
Yeah, so, you know, he's being pretty legit about it. And also, you got to think, to some extent, this has definitely blown his artwork up. Yeah, so I totally understand what the hand over here is saying, assuming that this hand is associated with the voice. The hand and the voice together, what they're saying is totally legit, right? You can't steal people's artwork and then apply another meaning to it and then resell it, especially resell it. But even repackaging it with that different meaning is not okay, you know, because artists do have an intended meaning behind their art. Now, realistically, most people aren't going to look at any piece of art, particularly one as abstract as this one, and get the intended meaning. More than likely, they're going to have their own interpretation. But nobody would have had the interpretation of this being an SCP if somebody hadn't already borrowed the image. You see what I'm saying? So it's totally legit. What this dude, the hand over here, is talking about makes a lot of sense. But on the other side of that token, if I was Izumi, he already had a whole lot of artwork that he had made, right? Where did it? They showed it at some point. At some point, they had shown it in the video. He had made a bunch of different art. And this is, you know, sacrificing one piece and letting somebody have it and saying, fine, fuck it. Again, very different than saying, okay, go ahead and sell it. It's yours to make money off of. No. But saying, yeah, if you want my piece of work to be used in your SCP Foundation, you know, it has to push a lot of traffic towards the rest of his artwork, right? You would think. How many of those SCP fans actually knew who Izumi was? You know, I guess we're over here on the rant screen now. How many people actually knew about this guy until he made an SCP? You know, what I would have done Right. You know, me and my big, beautiful brain over here, I would have, what's the word I'm looking for? Made a deal with the SCP Foundation of, hey, y'all can use the image. You just got to give me credit for creating the image. And then if you do end up selling the image, not selling the image itself or the rights to the image, you don't get to have that. But you can make dolls, you know, paintings, pictures, all of that. But any money you make off that, you split with me. Right. And that's that. Other than that, you're free to use the image however you want. You just can't give the rights to somebody else to use and make money off of. But you, the SCP Foundation, can use whatever, can make whatever money you want off of this image. You just got to split it with me. Yeah. And see how that works. You know, see if they go for that deal. My hair is crazy. I need to shave this shit. Getting crazy over here. Okay, let's hop back over the YouTube screen.
SCP-173. Now, the important thing for everyone to do here is stay calm. Do not panic. Don't flip your lids. Calm your tits. No justice for Peanut or anything like that. This is the right thing to do. It's better for the artist, and it's better for the community as a whole. Peanut will...
Yeah, well, that is one thing. The SCP Foundation is just covering their own asses, and that's pretty legit. You know, we want them to stick around, right? We want to have this website up and running so other people, because this is such a cool thing. All these people around the world adding these creepy characters and stories is so fucking cool, man. And you don't want that all to get shut down over one fucking peanut. Yeah, so it does make legit. It is a legit thing to do. It does make sense.
Always hold a place in our hearts. We have countless artworks and memes and games and videos about him, but 173 is more than just an image. He is the beginning of the wiki. He's the original.
Oh, shit, I didn't know
should
that.
Not depend entirely on a likeness, but rather on what it, as a character, represents, the history tied to it, not the image. We as a community pride ourselves on our imagination for the fantastical and the scary and the downright bizarre, and even more so, our ability to share ideas and works with each other, so even more people can be inspired to create their own and get involved in our community. Just think of all the amazing new artworks we're going to see depicting a possible look for SCP-173. It'll be a creative explosion. It really is a case of, don't be sad it's over, be happy that it happened. And so, I hope you'll join me in thanking Izumi for letting us use his artwork. I hope he understands that creating that sculpture had one of the biggest butterfly effects in online writing.
Look at that.
And he should feel the utmost pride in seeing what his creation has in turn created from that.
Mm-hmm.
To that end, we say farewell to Untitled 2004.
It's a nice video. Yeah. I like the whole illustration aspect that he brought to it. That was pretty cool. I still think Izumi really missed the boat there. He really should have, you know, again, like if I was him, I would have been like, use the fucking image, sell it, sell some shit, make little fucking Beanie Babies, whatever, you know, make fucking, you know, blankets with the SCP on it, right? Make a fucking movie, but you need to pay me, right? You got to give me money, and then you can do whatever the fuck you want with it, except for give the rights to other people to use, right? I don't know if that was possible for him to do, if maybe he tried and SCP Foundation was like, nah, we don't want to fuck with that. You know, either way, it was still super nice of him to let them use the image for Peanut for so long. And it wasn't him that said not to use it. It was the SCP Foundation. And that makes sense. They just want to cover their own ass. So it is what it is. That is a bummer. But yeah, you know, I don't know. Oh, shit. I was going to look right when I clicked out. I thought about it and I was like, son of a bitch. Here we go. Is this it? Mr. Illustrated. When did this come out? Oh, 3 years ago. Holy balls. Okay. I wonder if it doesn't seem like they ever did make another Peanut, because this is all we got. Licensing, citation, doop-a-doop boop. Yeah, I'm not seeing any other, you know, you go to other SCPs, not all of them, but a lot of them will have a picture associated with it. And the addendums, here's the addendums right here, yeah, that other people have added to this particular SCP 174. you know. So it is unfortunate. It doesn't look like they created another Peanut. So what a bummer. Wonder what happened with that. Maybe we'll have to do a little sleuthing on another stream. Maybe at the end of this stream, we can sleuth around and see what ended up happening. But did I hear a crackle? I feel like I heard a crackle. There was a crackle. Fucking crackle. That crackle haunts me, right? I would rather deal with a fucking bloody poopy peanut than the crackle. That came out wrong. But I would much rather deal with peanut than this damn crackle in my audio. Or it could actually just be my headphones. That might just be my headphones. Yeah. If it keeps happening, I'll try tweaking my headphones. But anyways, so Peanut is one of the most infamous of all SCPs, specifically, I guess, because he was the first. I didn't know that. I didn't realize that's where the SCP Foundation came from. So you learn something new every day, right? And sometimes those new things you learn are completely pointless and useless. That's true. But you're probably never going to have your mom and dad ask you what a peanut is in response to this guy. And no employer's ever going to give you a raise for knowing who the fuck Peanut is. But now you know who Peanut is, right? So you get to share that useless information with me. So we're pretty much brothers like that. Yeah? Okay. We're going to move on to another SCP. This one is SCP-001. So SCP-001, I do know they put in for, essentially there was a competition. Here we go. We got it right here. So there are over 30 potential candidates for the 001 spot. Yeah, they held, I don't know if it was a competition or if it was just that many people put in to say, hey, here's my SCP-001 idea. But the number is special because it's the first SCP the Foundation ever found, right? So a lot of people sent in candidates, and some even think that all of the proposals have a valid claim to the designation. In order to prevent knowledge of the SCP-001 from being leaked, several false SCP files have been created alongside of the true files. Oh, okay. So okay, I get it. Like maybe these are all fake and maybe they're not. But there's tons and tons of proposals that actually got put into the SCP Foundation to be SCP-001. And these are all a lot of fun. This is, again, one of the first SCPs that I think I looked into because when I found out this was a thing, I was like, sweet, I want all the useless knowledge in the universe, and I'm going to read about every SCP. And I think I got like to SCP-5, and I was like, okay, what the fuck am I doing with my life? I'm not going to waste more time dedicated to this. But I did read about and watched a lot of videos about all of the SCP-001s, which are pretty cool. So this is, here, let's pop over to YouTube. This is one of my favorite SCP channels. We're already going to give them a like and a subscribe because I know their videos fucking dope. They do tons of SCP videos, so if you love SCP stuff, you got to go check out this channel. It's SCP Explained, Story and Animation. So they give you the story, the actual, this bit right here, alongside of the give it to you animated, right? So animate it for you and tell you all about it. This is the SCP-001 candidates, all animated. So let's go ahead and watch a few of these. We probably don't go through the whole video. We might, because I didn't have a lot of content for today. I think we had that. Then we're going to go over some of my favorites, some of the most famous ones. And then, yeah, we'll cover a little bit of the history and then go through some of the media, right? I got some really cool YouTube channels. We're not going to watch any of these, but
the day has...
Let's click that. Oh, yeah, we already watched that. Yeah, we gave him a like. Good. There's an awesome video. So, Mr. Illustrated was the name of that channel. Really dope channel. Check them out. So, we're not going to watch any of these videos, but we are definitely... I'm going to give them to you in the link in the description so you can go watch some of these videos on your own, and we'll get to those here in a little bit. But first, let's learn a little bit about SCP-001.
The SCP Foundation. Not only is the job dangerous, you could be eaten by a giant immortal lizard or turned into organic furniture inside.
If you haven't noticed, the lizard, the SCP, what is it, 683, is a very famous, popular one.
The world's scariest living room, but it's also insanely complicated. How do you make sense of the nonsensical? What's the definition of strange when your career is securing, containing, and protecting anomalous objects and entities? Rather than a single object, location, or being, SCP-001 is a cluster of over 30 different proposals for potential candidates for the prestigious 001 spot. Some believe there's a true 001 hidden in this group, and the rest are decoys. Others think that these are all just SCPs cataloged prior to the introduction of the current classification system.
So this is all of that, those possibilities he just explained, that's all a part of the SCP lore. Okay, so that's pretty cool.
Some even think that all of the proposals have a valid claim to the SCP-001 throne. We're not here to make a final judgment. Instead, we're going to take you on a lightning round crash course through 31 of the SCP-001 proposals. If you'd like a more in-depth take on...
How many did it say? I think it said it, over 30 potential candidates. So, I don't know if there's totally 31 or if there's even more than that.
This MLB
Son of a bitch, FanDuel. Son of a bitch.
Any homer can
of these SCPs, let us know in the comments. But for now, there's no more time to waste. After all, we got a lot to cover. Let's go. Number 31, the Sheaf of Papers. This seemingly innocent stack of paper is actually one of the most mysterious and feared items under the Foundation's lock and key. While it appears to be a simple, confidential report, every time the papers are read, it details the appearance of a new SCP that will inevitably be discovered soon after. The question is whether the Sheaf of Papers is warning us about these entities or creating them itself. Number 30, the Prototype. This account details the capture of an incredibly strange cycloptic creature that emits massive amounts of radiation and can create micro-singularities. The writing of this creature's file is so basic, unformatted, and unredacted that it's clear that the being was one of our earlier creatures secured by the organization. Interestingly, it was during the capture of this creature that Dr. Keter was killed, inspiring the creation of the infamous Keter class in his honor. Number 29. The Gate Guardian. This huge, multi-winged, sword-wielding, biblical energy being may have been the impetus for the founding of the SCP Foundation. This being remains largely static, guarding the intersection of the Tigris and Euphrates rivers. Its flaming sword, which is believed to be as hot as the sun, can cleave any aggressor out of existence at the atomic level. When the founder of the SCP Foundation first encountered the Gate Guardian, they heard one word echoing through their mind: prepare. And the rest is history. Number 28. The Lock. This onyx gemstone and the incredibly complex lock attached to it are still a mystery. To this day, all attempts to open it have failed. Personally, we think that's probably for the best. Number 27.
That one is so fucking boring. It's just a fucking gemstone and a lock. That's it. I've watched individual videos about all of them. See, here's another one: the Scarlet King, the Children, and Ouroboros cycle, and that one is by far the lamest. So sorry to whoever made that one, but your idea sucked.
The Factory. As the name suggests, this SCP is literally a factory founded by a pagan and a devil worshipper. While it's believed that the factory could create just about anything, its specialty was creating a number of SCPs we know and fear today. Pre-Foundation forces were able to disable the factory, but not without sustaining their own heavy losses. Number 26. The Spiral Path. This is a normal-appearing gravel pathway that, when traveled clockwise, appears completely normal. However, when traveled counterclockwise, the path goes uphill forever, in defiance of all laws in physics. This simple anomaly opened a Pandora's box of rampant anomaly creation, leading to a number of the deadly SCPs we know today.
Shit.
Number 20.
I don't remember that one. There's a lot of them, so...
5. The Legacy. This SCP is a collection of seemingly random objects, including a diary from a person claiming to be from another reality, attempting to halt a trans-dimensional corruption that they themselves created. The diary claims to have a solution to this corruption, but the solution has not yet been found. Number 24. The Database.
That's so weird.
In one of the strangest twists on the format, this SCP is actually the various authors of the SCP Wiki who are somehow leaking top-secret information to the public. Number 23.
That's kind of funny.
Foundation. This SCP, first discovered by the FBI, is an anomalous high school building that experiences shifting internal geometry and sometimes manifests hostile humanoids within. Number 22.
That kind of sounds like a copy of the IKEA store, don't it?
36. One of the rare benevolent SCPs, the 36 are humans with a truly remarkable ability. They can dampen or even neutralize any SCP they come into contact with. Though it's implied that the 36 may have the power to save the world, every time one of them dies, a supernatural calamity occurs, often leaving hundreds of innocents dead. Number 21.
Oh, shit.
Keter Duty. This refers to a containment
Keter
facility largely filled with Keter-class SCPs, whose presence around each other creates a kind of mutually assured cancellation. If one of these SCPs breaches containment, that's bad news. But if all of them do, it'll produce a bubble of reality distortion that will fundamentally alter reality as we know it. For all we know, it may have even happened already. Number 20. Ouroboros. This is a proposal that's formed of 4 sub-proposals. Remember what we said about complicated? These sub-proposals include the children, 9 anomalous kids who emit radiation and have destructive potential when together, the broken god, aka Mechane, the god of metal, intelligence, and machines, Atonement, a researcher turned into a humanoid singularity with the power to destroy whole realities, and The Way It Ends, which isn't technically an SCP, but the tales of the Chaos Insurgency's quest to eliminate all the members of the Foundation's O5 Council. Number 19.
Jesus.
A record.
Okay.
This is an SCP.
That is complicated. See, some of these proposals are really dope, and some of them are just, they're out there. You were smoking some kind of ganj, son, when you thought of that shit.
File slot that is itself an SCP. Whatever is written into this slot becomes true, and one ambitious researcher attempted to use this power to make herself into a kind of all-powerful god. Number 18,
no.
Past and Future. These SCPs are a collection of powerful entities that despise humanity and are apparently the source of all anomalous phenomena, even making already dangerous SCPs deadlier than before. Much like the database, those pesky SCP wiki writers might have something to do with this. Number 17, The Consensus. This SCP refers to a reality restructuring event caused by an occult war in a previous reality. That's right, this SCP
Over 8,000 men have permanently broken free from the P word by watching one single video training that you can actually watch by clicking the
I'm
link
good.
below
I like my
on YouTube.
porn.
already won, and we're living in its new reality. The only people who remember the world as it once was are 13 people who now form the O5 Council, and not all of them are telling the truth about what they know. Number 16, When Day Breaks. This proposal details a potentially world-ending SCP phenomenon wherein the sun becomes hostile and begins to melt all living beings into a living wax-like substance. Number 15,
Oh, shit.
God's Blind Spot. This is an anomalous area referred to as Facility T, in which nobody can die. This anomaly dates back
that's
to the
cool.
biblical ages of Moses and is believed to have originated from the literal blessing of the Abrahamic God. It's through a covenant with this god that the Foundation is able to make limited use of this death-free area. Number 14, Normalcy. Ever wonder what the Foundation's definition of anomalous is? Exactly. It all comes from this proposal, which is a document shared among the O5 Council that gives solid definitions to the fundamental laws of reality. If something breaks these laws, that's an anomaly, and then it becomes the Foundation's business. Number 13, The World at Large. As the title suggests, this SCP is our home planet Earth and its ability to support life. It's believed that these qualities were planted on Earth in our reality by another dimension's SCP Foundation, hoping to continue human life after some terrible calamity in its own dimension. Number 12,
Oh, shit.
Dead Man.
That's kind of a crazy one.
This SCP was an 84-year-old man whose body, when damaged and mutilated, can affect the very processes of human death at large. Before his own death, he was used as a dangerous pawn in a civil war between O5 Command and the SCP Foundation Ethics Committee. Yeah, we were surprised to hear they had an ethics committee too. Number 11, The World's Gone Beautiful. This SCP describes an anomalous event that will take place just before the apocalypse, in which flowers will grow all over the world and everyone will be briefly at peace before their destruction 24 hours later. Number 10, The Scarlet King.
This is the one I remember. This one was my favorite.
This is an extremely powerful, extremely malevolent, extremely extra-dimensional being. Its worshippers attempted to summon him in the ritual that created SCP-231, and it's believed that he will finally enter our reality after the death of SCP-231-7. You better hope you're already dead by then.
Remember SCP-231-7, the girl that keeps getting tortured?
Number 9. A simple toy maker, aka Dr. Wondertainment. This is a reality bender who appears to be a normal human male but has the ability to create other anomalous objects, a number of which are now cataloged SCPs. Number 8. Story of Your Life. This is another anomalous document that has the ability to warp reality, but only when the writing contained within conforms to a narrative structure. Number
Some of these are so meta. They're interesting, and then some of them are like, okay, that's a little silly, right? Like, I don't know if I care all that much. Like, I'm sure the person who made it up thought it was a brilliant idea until we get like 15 documents you can write the history of the world in or change something in, right? So we're going to stop the video there. What is a good boy? I don't know. You'll have to go to the SCP Explains YouTube channel to watch the rest of the video. So they got a few different ones. They got a good boy. I don't know what that's all saying. Project Palisade, the Solution, the Tindalos Trinity. Okay, so go check those out. I'll leave you to do that on your own. The link to this video will be in the description, as always. I'm gonna pop back over here. So those are some of the proposals for SCP-001, which some of them are very entertaining. If you look over here, we got a whole 15-minute video on the Scarlet King, and then another 15-minute video on the Ouroboros cycle. Some of them are very interesting. Like, some people wrote these proposals in with really detailed backstories and all that shit. So it was really cool. Some of them were just, you know, it was like, what the fuck was that guy thinking? I'm sure he thought it was brilliant, but it didn't end up being so. Looked good on paper. So now we're going to hop over to the highest rated SCPs in the Foundation, right? So, of course, the first one, listen, mouse, okay, is going to be Peanut 173, right? Okay, makes a lot of sense. And this one, I don't know what the fuck this one is. It doesn't even... Okay, hold on. Let's look at this for a second. So, Keter, that's escaped, is what I think that means, right? So that's a picture of it. Needs a haircut. Then this is how to lock it up. So there's this guy with the hair. Don't know what that means. None of that. Okay. I guess you got to kind of follow along with the pictures. This is interesting. See, I wish there was a lot of y'all, more of y'all in the live stream to help me decipher what some of this shit can mean, right? So you can't lock it up. It goes through walls. And she doesn't like yield signs. You can talk to him, I guess. And okay, we got a dude chilling in the dark. He sees this piece of paper. Dude happens behind him, hops up behind him. Dude loves him, takes the paper for himself, and then this guy is very scared. Dude sees the paper, then somebody says something. He says something. He shows up, loves him. We got a little heart, right? He's in love. Sounds like he's wrapping him up and taking him with him. Oh, that's a bummer. So, oh, I don't know what that is. These are actual advertisements. So, yeah, I got to be honest, I have no idea what's going on with that one, to tell you the truth. That one's kind of out there. That's probably why I didn't actually have that one in the stream, because I looked at it and was like, I don't fucking know what that's supposed to be, right? But whatever. So, that's number 2, I guess, okay? And one of the highest rated ones, too. We're going to have to look into what the fuck that's about, because it doesn't even have a name, though. How do you even look that one up? What do you even call that? It doesn't even have a name. How do people even look it up? How do you rate for something that doesn't have a name? Okay, well, whatever that's about. I'm going to look into that one and come back to you in a later stream. But SCP-049, this guy is another classic SCP. Everybody has probably seen a picture of this guy or know something about him. So SCP-049, Euclid, Special Containment Procedures. SCP-049 is contained within a standard secure humanoid containment cell in Research Sector O2 at Site 19. O49 must be sedated before any attempts to transport it. During transport, O49 must be secured within a Class 3 humanoid restriction harness and monitored by no fewer than 2 armed guards. Ooh, he seems dangerous. While 49 is generally cooperative with most Foundation personnel, outbursts or sudden changes in behavior are to be met with elevated force. Under no circumstances should any personnel come into direct contact with O49 during these outbursts. In the event that O49 becomes aggressive, the application of lavender has been shown to produce a calming effect on the entity. Once calmed, O49 generally becomes compliant and will return to containment with little resistance. In order to facilitate the ongoing containment of O49, the entity is to be provided with the corpse of a recently deceased animal, typically a bovine or other large mammal, once every 2 weeks for study. Corpses that become instances of O49's-2 are to be removed from O49's containment cell and incinerated. O49 is no longer permitted to interact with human subjects, and requests for human subjects are to be denied. Okay, so he's some kind of doctor, likes to study bodies, which is kind of weird and morbid in itself. Temporary containment procedure update. O49 is no longer permitted to interact directly with any members of Foundation staff, nor is it to be provided with any additional corpses to be used in his surgeries. This order shall persist indefinitely until such time a consensus regarding the ongoing containment of O49 can be reached. So, description. Here's the good stuff. Look at that. He's got a big-ass nose inside of that fucking helmet. I thought that was a mask. Looks like a face. Description. O49 is a humanoid entity roughly 1.9 meters high, which bears the appearance of a medieval plague doctor. While O49 appears to be wearing the thick robes and ceramic masks indicative of that profession, the garments instead seem to have grown out of O49's body over time, and are now nearly indistinguishable from whatever form is underneath them. X-rays indicate that despite this, O49 does have a humanoid skeletal structure beneath its outer layer. So we kind of get that. He's a dude with a beak. Poor guy. It's not real good for the dating scene nowadays, I hear. O49 is capable of speech in a variety of languages, though tends to prefer English or medieval French. While O49 is generally cordial and cooperative with the Foundation staff, it can become especially irritated or at times outright aggressive if it feels that it is in the presence of what it calls the pestilence. Although the exact nature of this pestilence is currently unknown to Foundation researchers, it does seem to be an issue of immense concern to O49. O49 will become hostile with individuals it sees as being affected by the pestilence, often having to be restrained should it encounter such. If left unchecked, 049 will generally attempt to kill any such individual. 049 is capable of causing all biological functions of an organism to cease through direct skin contact. Ooh. How this occurs is currently unknown, and autopsies of its victims have invariably been inconclusive. 049 has expressed frustration or remorse after these killings, indicating that they have done little to kill the pestilence, though will usually seek to then perform a crude surgery on the corpse using the implements contained within a black doctor's bag it carries on its persons. While these surgeries are not always successful, they often result in the creation of instances of 049-2. Okay, gruesome. 049-2 instances are reanimated corpses that have been operated on by 049. These instances do not seem to retain any of their prior memories or mental functions, having only basic motor skills and response mechanism. So he makes zombies, basically. Kills you, cries about it, feels bad, brings you back to life as a zombie. Cool guy. While these instances are generally inactive, moving very little and in a general ambulatory fashion, they can become extremely aggressive if provoked or if directed by 049. 049-2 instances express active biological functions, though these are vastly different from currently understood human physiology. Okay. Despite these alterations, 049 often remarks that the subjects have been cured. Spooky. And Discovery, Addendum 049.1. 049 was discovered during the investigation of a series of unknown disappearances in the town of Montauban in southern France. During a raid on a local home, investigators found several instances of 049-2 as well as 049. While law enforcement personnel engaged in hostile 049-2 instances, 049 was noted as watching the engagement and taking notes in its journal. After all of the 049-2 instances were dispatched, 049 willingly entered Foundation custody. So then we have an interview here with 049. Interesting. And then we have an observation log. So as you can see here, when it gets to this instance, this SCP, we got a lot of material. Tons of people have been adding addendums to this to continue to grow this guy's story, which is totally fucking cool, right? Here's some of the footnotes that we had up there. I was wondering what they were. The robes and gloves are identical to a thick hide built up on the skin, while the mask is composed of a kind of chitin growing out of the bones of the face. Oh. The entity claims to have originated in 15th century France, though admits that it is particularly well traveled. Ooh. The space within its bag is seemingly anomalously large, as CSP-049 has been observed pulling objects larger than the bag itself from within it in order to operate on deceased subjects. Crazy. Okay. So yeah, that's 049. It's, again, number 3 on the list of the highest rated CP Foundation members. And again, I'll go over a lot of these individual guys. We'll read the whole document plus a couple good videos on them in another stream. But this stream is just to set the foundation for the foundation, so you understand what it is, right? But that's 049, another very popular guy, number 3 on the list. And then I love this. This is number 42. This is SCP blank J, object class blank. Special containment procedures in a box in my office. Description: it's a rock that makes you procrastinate. Addendum: probably mimetic or something. I'll finish writing this up later. Dr. Vang. So see, you get more of the humor that a lot of these SCP authors have. It's a rock that makes you procrastinate, so the whole file is unfinished. I thought that was pretty good. That made me giggle. All right, okay. So let's go ahead and learn a little bit about the history, how this came to be, and the community surrounding SCP Foundation. And then I wanted to go through a couple of the films, videos, the books, tons of video games that include the SCP Foundation, right? So, because there's a whole bunch of it for future reference. And then we'll go over some really cool YouTube channels for you to go to see some original work that has been added to the SCP universe, okay? So, history. The SCP Foundation originated in the Paranormal X forum of 4chan in 2007. See, y'all said nothing good ever came from 4chan. Well, there's a lot good that came from 4chan. There's a lot weird that came from 4chan. There's a lot fucked up that came from 4chan, but there's a lot of good. And I definitely think this one definitely is good. We're the very first... Let's see, the SCP Foundation and the Paranormal Forum of 4chan, where the very first SCP file, SCP-173, was posted by an anonymous user. Interesting. Accompanied by an image of the sculpture Untitled 2004 by Japanese artist Izumu Kato. Although displeased with the unlicensed use of his art, Kato allowed the use of the photo explicitly for the non-commercial purpose of the community. Though SCP-173 was initially a standalone short story, many additional SCP files were created shortly after. Those new SCPs copied SCP-173's style and were set within the same fictional universe. In July 2008, the SCP Wiki was transferred to its current Wiki.website website after the Wiki hosting service Edit This switched to a paid model. New Wiki.wiki, so that might have been in July 2008. I don't think it was that long ago that I went to the website, but in any case, a new Wiki.wikis by default made use of the Creative Commons license at the time. The SCP staff therefore accidentally adopted this license for SCP Media. By 2009, a large number of articles had been written, but the quality of those posts was often poor. A mass edit conducted from September to December of that year saw every article reviewed and a large number decommissioned. A repository of the removed articles is preserved at SCP Classic. The development of evaluation processes, including the sharing of ideas and constructive criticism, has since allowed the community to maintain a high quality level for new articles. Oh, that's kind of nice, I guess. The community continued to grow and open branches in additional languages from the early 2010s. In particular, a surge of new members arrived in 2012 after the launch of SCP Containment Breach, which we'll read up a little bit more on. The original SCP-173 text was released into the Creative Commons by its author explicitly in 2013 in an effort to address the uncertain license status of some earlier material. This debate over licensing led to a dispute between the English and Russian language branches in 2017, which briefly shut down the Russian version. In 2022, an article in American Journalism suggested that the SCP Foundation may have become the largest collaborative writing project in history. That's so fucking cool, man. That is so dope. That right there is a case for keeping the internet alive. A lot of fucked up shit comes out of the internet, right? There's a lot of fucked up shit on the internet, right? And this right here, though, is a good, solid case for keeping the internet around, man, because that right there is so fucking cool, man. Collaboration from all over the world, you know, motherfuckers over here and here and there come together to create this massive story and this history to this fake foundation. It's so cool. Writing style, we don't need to go over that. Community. The current Wiki.dot website contains numerous standard wiki features such as keyboard searches and article lists. The wiki also contains a news hub, guides for writers, and a central discussion forum. The wiki is moderated by staff teams. Each team is responsible for a different function, such as community, and discipline, whatever. Wiki.dot users are required to submit an application before they are allowed to post content. Every article on the wiki is assigned a discussion page where members can evaluate and provide constructive criticism on submitted stories. The discussion pages are frequently used by authors to improve their stories. Members also have the ability to upvote articles they like and to downvote articles they dislike. Articles that receive too many net downvotes are deleted. Oh, that's an interesting process. I didn't know that's how it worked. Getting heartburn. All this excitement. Okay. Writers from the Daily Dot and Bustle have noted that the website maintains strict quality control standards and that subpar content tends to be quickly removed. Authors who have written for the site include Max Landis, QNTM, and Adrian Hahn. Wiki.dot website routinely holds creative writing contests to encourage submissions. The first of these was held in 2011 to decide which article would be assigned. The SCP-1000 label. Okay. There have since been additional competitions for each increment of 1,000 articles. For example, in November 2014, the SCP Wiki held a dystopia contest in which its members were encouraged to submit writings about the Foundation set in a bleak or degraded world. That's really neat. Apart from the original English Wiki, 15 other languages exist. Some of the articles are translated in English. The Wanderer's Library is a sister site and spin-off of the SCP Wiki. Oh, cool. We got to check that out. It uses the same setting as the SCP universe, but is made up of fantastical stories rather than scientific reports. The SCP community also maintains a role-playing site, a forum on Reddit, and accounts on Facebook and Twitter. All right. Well, there you go. So, here's some media inspired by the SCP Foundation that you can look into for yourself. A lot of this is the reason why SCP got so big, right? And we're going to go over all three of these here in a second. These are films and videos you can watch for free actually on YouTube. So I'm going to link those in the description for you. Literature, SCP-5000-Y, the graphic novel. This is a 120-page graphic novel adaptation of SCP-5000, a contest-winning entry written by Tan Honey and illustrated by Dr. Doberman. Dr. Doberman. The novel focuses on technician Petro Wilson surviving in an alternate universe where, for unknown reasons, the SCP Foundation has declared war against humanity and is releasing SCP objects to ensure human extinction. Oh shit, that's kind of cool. So the SCP comic series started in 2023. A series of one-shot horror graphic novels published by Aloha Comics under the Parabooks imprint that focus on specific SCPs or Mobile Task Force. The title of these one-shots are We Who Poke with Sticks, The Plague Doctor, Red Sea Object, Old Man, Expunged Data Released, and Reluctant Dimension Hopper. These one-shots were released as part of a book set funded through Kickstarter. SCP Foundation, Iris Through the Looking Glass is a light novel series written by Akira and illustrated by Sadhu. The book focuses on a boy who is kidnapped by the SCP Foundation after he sees a picture of Iris Thompson, a girl designated SCP-105, in every book he opens. The boy and Iris are forced to cooperate to escape the Foundation. Interesting. That's kind of cool. Okay, and then there is no anti-memetic division. is a SCP sci-fi horror story written and published by Sam Hughes. The novel focuses on the concept of anti-memes, ideas and entities that censor themselves through memory loss, data corruption, and other anomalous means, and more specifically, the invasion of an anti-memetic entity that feeds on information. Ah, that's extremely meta. That was actually made into a movie that we're going to look at here in a second. So then they even have a stage play called Welcome to the Ethics Committee, okay? And then the video games. Everybody is aware of the video games, right? So SCP-087-B is a short horror game about walking down the stairs of SCP-087. SCP Containment Breach is one of the most popular video games based on the SCP Foundation, was released by Finnish developer Jonas Rikkonen in 2012. The game includes a blink function which makes the player close their eyes but allows SCP-173 to approach. Okay, so I should have read that earlier. That's where a lot of people were introduced to Peanut. SCP Secret Laboratory is a multiplayer game based on Containment Breach. Players have the option of playing different roles. And I've seen that one because some people can actually play the roles of SCP. Like you can be Peanut. SCP-5K, formerly SCP Pandemic, is a multiplayer co-op first-person shooter. SCP Secret Files is an episodic horror adventure game in development with GameZoo Studios. The player plays through chapters that each cover different excursions into the SCP Foundation's operations with the bizarre and abnormal. Go Home Annie is a horror adventure game featuring an original narrative set in the SCP Foundation universe developed by Misfit Village. SCP Fragmented Minds, this is in 2025, so this is a new one, is a first-person action-adventure game set on Site-113 located on Mars. And the store is closed. To be announced is an upcoming multiplayer survival game set in SCP-3008, an infinite IKEA-like store. Ah, that's the IKEA store one. That'll be fun. The project had a successful kickstart in 2022 and entered into a closed alpha test that November. The game faced legal threats from IKEA, which led to some graphical changes. Ah, fuck you, IKEA. Other video games, Lobotomy Corporation, a management video game by Project Moon, inspired by the SCP Foundation. Control, a video game created by Remedy Entertainment. This video game was heavily influenced by the SCP Foundation. Okay, and then Lethal Company, another survival horror game. The developer drew upon existing mythos and monsters from the SCP for the video game. Okay, sounds good. So tons of video games have been made of the SCP. We even got a few books here. Looks mostly comics and comics. Graphic novels is what we're mostly looking at, but a couple of novels there, and a novel series too, which is kind of cool. Okay, so then we have the films and videos. So here, I'm going to give you the links to those right meow. This is Lord Bung's Confinement Up Reloaded. All right, so I actually probably shouldn't have closed that. What's this one about? Well, I guess it has an about page, right? More. Hopefully it doesn't suck. That gave us nothing. Okay. New tab. Let's go back to that wiki that I had. Oh, got a nasty noise. Okay. So this first YouTube channel I wanted to link for you guys, Confinement, was an animated black comedy horror web series created by animator Lord Bung. The series focuses on the misadventures of Connor, an immortal human SCP prisoner whose anomalous ability to instantly resurrect himself for any cause of death is frequently exploited by the Foundation, who often use him as a D-class test subject to interact with various highly dangerous SCPs. That sounds pretty hilarious. That's awesome. So that's this right here. I guess if we go to playlist, Confinement, that's this whole playlist. 19 videos. Wow. So there's a lot in there. And they said it was animated, right? Hold on, let's get over this. Advertisement, everybody needs to sell shit to you. Okay. Yeah, animated. Okay, so animated series. So that is, let's go back. Lord Bung's Confinement re-uploaded. And the link to all of these will be in the description for the YouTube video. So definitely, I suggest go checking them out. SCP Overlord. Okay, this one's right here by Evan Royalty. Let's click on his channel. And it looks like he's got quite a lot of stuff. Movies and cinema and SCP series. He's got 4 SCP series videos here. Okay. So, and are these live action or are these... Oh. Okay, yeah, these are live action. Oh, that's pretty fucking cool. So, SCP Overlord is a 35-minute action horror thriller short film on YouTube directed by Stephen Hancock and written by Evan Muir. The plot involves a team of Foundation agents raiding and investigating a house occupied by a local cult, which performed occult rituals that have resulted in anomalous activity. Okay, interesting. So that's about a whole different SCP. And then there is no Anti-Memetics Division, 2024, based on the sci-fi horror story series of the same name. This is a 4-part short series on YouTube, written and directed by Andrea Joshua Asnikar and Jenna Cosgrove. So that was based off the 2021 short horror story, or novel, excuse me. And that's right here. There's no Anti-Memetics Division episode 1. And let's go to her channel to see how many. There's 4 episodes. Yeah. 4 episodes of There Is No Anti-Memetics Division. Okay, so I'll have all of those linked into the description for you. Definitely go check out those channels and see if any of those are enjoyable. I'll probably be watching a few of those tonight later on while I'm eating my dinner. And speaking of that, I'm going to go ahead and let you guys go so I can have that dinner. I've actually haven't eaten since like 5 o'clock today, and I'm bulking right now, so my fat ass needs food. I am starving, and I got barbecue in the fridge. Me and the girl, we went to Famous Dave's, and I got the American Feast platter. It's a fucking big ass, just giant fucking pile of barbecue. So I'm gonna go up there and get some barbecue pork and some ribs and some cornbread and some corn and some fries. I'm just gonna pig the fuck out. So I'm gonna let you guys go. I'm gonna go ahead and pig out on that. But that concludes the SCP Foundation episode. This episode of Terrifying Tuesdays. So I hope you guys enjoyed it. I hope you had fun. If you were watching live, I appreciate you. And next time, and yeah, I appreciate you tuning in live. Hope you enjoyed it. If you do, then please like the video. Follow if you're on, X or Twitch. And soon to be, what are the other ones? Kick and Rumble. Be on those websites here probably by the end of the week. And if you're watching this on YouTube, I also hope you liked it. If you did, then go ahead and like and subscribe to the channel. And don't forget to leave in the comment section what your favorite SCPs are so I can make a video about that. That's going to be my next video, the coolest SCPs in the SCP Foundation. So if y'all don't drop that, then I'm just going to go ahead and do my favorites, right? So fuck all y'all. I'll just do what I want. But in the meantime, I appreciate everybody for watching. If you enjoy these Terrifying Tuesday spooky content, I have a playlist on my YouTube channel where you can go watch all the previous Terrifying Tuesday videos. I will be streaming next Tuesday, of course, for more terrifying content. And next Tuesday is going to be the disturbing history of cartel torture techniques. So I actually did a whole bunch of research on this, and now you get the privilege, I suppose, if you want to put it that way, to watch some of that with me. So yeah, cartel, real bad dudes, not nice guys, torture people in some pretty horrific ways, but creative, very creative people. And so we're going to go ahead and learn about some of those horrific ways in which they torture people. Tomorrow will be only my second episode of Newsweek Wednesday. So tomorrow I spend 2 or 3 hours talking about whatever's happening on the news. And I don't entirely know what's going to be happening on the news tomorrow. You know, I'm not psychic, so I can't tell you. But I'm thinking I'm going to be covering the Epstein list because Donald Trump came out acting like, oh, we're still talking about Epstein. Everybody, why are we talking about Epstein? And that was some bullshit, son. That was some fucking bullshit, all right? Like, I was not cool with that. I thought that was crap. That was a shit fucking move by him and that fucking Pam Bondi. You guys might be fans of hers. That's great. Of his, that's great. But I was not a fan of that particular action. That action was bullshit. I don't mind saying it. I did not appreciate it. And so, yeah, I'm probably going to be talking about how bullshit that was. And I actually do have a later stream next month. Next month, I'll actually be going over Epstein for Conspiracy Theory Thursdays and everything associated with his case that we know. And then everything that could possibly be in the files, everything that current files have released, like who was on the flight records and stuff like that. We'll be going over all that on one of the conspiracy theories next month. But tomorrow, we might just be going over how the Trump administration dropped the fucking ball on the Epstein files, because they sure as shit did. They made a lot of promises, and today they decided not to keep them. So fuck them. I might be doing a whole 3 hours of spearing them over the fire for being a bunch of dicks. So that'll probably be what I'm doing tomorrow. Maybe not. We'll see. But tune in if you want to hear something about the news, and more so hear about the news and hear me bitch and moan about it. You can come in and bitch and moan with me tomorrow, all right? So anyways, until then, y'all have a wonderful rest of your night, and I will talk to you then. Peace.